Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is HD, and I'm coming at you guys with the grand finals broadcast of GameCom Plantronics. I am so excited to be bringing this to you guys. This, as you guys all know, has been a 600-man or so-ish tournament. It's been very big throughout the community, and a lot of great players have been competing throughout it. It came down to two awesome semifinals that were each best of 5. We had Czech 6 Ver winning in semifinal A, I believe, or was that B? That was actually B. And his opponent here in the grand finals, Vile Hawk, winning in semifinal A in a ZVZ mirror matchup. And here we are. We're in the grand finals of the GameCom Plantronics tournament. The first map is going to be Shakuras Plateau. The prizes for these players, besides just having awesome headsets and everything and awesome gaming gear, is just renown and recognition throughout the gaming community. Anybody who's able to win a tournament, I mean, you gotta imagine the pressure's on the line right now. Vile Hawk, as an incredible player as he is, and of course Czech 6 Ver, an incredible Terran that he is, they haven't really stepped out to become that well known in the community yet. They've always been, you know, these guys who are on the teams, on the pro teams, they're always overshadowed by the big names. Whitera, DeMuslim, TLO, who else? Idra, Rhett, all these names come to mind. Of course, all the Koreans as well, which mentioning even one of them is like mentioning all the best North Americans combined into one. But essentially, you know, these players haven't had their time to shine yet, and here is their opportunity. It's given to them on a silver platter. You know, the apples, the oranges are there. They've just got to reach up from their hands and grasp it from the tree hanging above. And if they can win this tournament, it's going to give them such a huge boost in, and you know, not only just being able to take home some headsets, but also, like I said before, recognition throughout the community. And they're going to be able to step up and hopefully, you know, be invited to more tournaments and all that good stuff as well. So this is a big one here, guys. This is the grand finals. And I can't wait to see how this is going to turn out. ZVTs on this map have a historic tradition of becoming quite epic. We've seen a lot of interesting ZVTs. If you guys haven't seen a Vile Illusions game yet of a ZVT on this particular map as well, I casted that about 2 weeks ago. I think you guys should all check that one out. It was an amazing Zerg versus Terran, and we saw him. We actually saw him play with a lot of nuclear launches going off as well. So it was a really interesting game at that. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. So let's get right into it. We have a Czech 6 Ver. Once again, the blue Terran. I'm going to try my best this time not to call him 6 Jacks. You know, Czech 6 has been around for a very long time. Their players haven't really made a big stand yet in any tournaments. They haven't really been that well known as of yet, although Czech 6 is a great gaming organization in many other different gaming communities. StarCraft 2 as of now hasn't really been their blossom, so to say, yet. So hopefully that flower is about to sprout for Czech 6 gaming, and we'll see how it goes. Vile Hawk, of course, Vile, don't really need to introduce them too much. They have Spanishu on their team. They have a bunch of other good players as well. And, you know, we'll see if Hawk can hold it down for them. It looks like we're already going to have an SCV be the first blood of war here. Its little body parts are going to go ahead and ooze into the creep. The creep's going to eat that and feed that as nutrition, as the Zerg does those kind of dirty things, and they love to do that kind of stuff. The Zergling will be the second Fallen of War here. And already a great little kickstart to this game. A couple units going down here or there. Czech 6 Ver is actually going for a 1-Rax expand, though. So very bold expanding on this map so early, but at the same time, it's pretty safe, considering the fact that this map is a very closed-off natural expansion. You can lift off the barracks, these two barracks right here inside the main, and plant them down to finish a complete wall-off. And in fact, we're going to have Czech 6 Ver do exactly that. He's going to wall it off, and he's actually pushing off with a decent number of Marines as well, no doubt to apply a little bit of pressure. And if he can break the Zerg, then that's going to be just the extra bonus, the icing on the cake, if you will. And, you know, just starting a game off with aggression. That's what Terrans always want to do. They want to be aggressive against the Zerg, take the game to them. Don't let them drone up, because that's when you find yourself in a situation where the Zerg becomes the Sauron Zerg, and it's just unstoppable. So check 6 Ver here. He's approaching onto the creep a little bit. He's going to get a couple of shots off on that initial queen. The second queen coming down to help her sister, but one of her relatives, the relative falls, and Vile Hawk here actually has to pull the little sons, the little drones off the line here to help out. The final queen goes down as well. Now the spine crawler, it will be able to get up, but it only will get 1 or 2 Marines before going down. However, that may be enough to justify the cost of the spine crawler, as now there's only 2 Marines left, and we do not see a follow-up from Ver. He almost looked like for a second there he wanted to follow up. The barracks was like, open the doors, and nobody wanted to come out. So Ver here is going to hang back, and after a little bit of aggression is going to play a pretty macro game from here on out, I would imagine. He has 2 factories down, which indicates to me that he wants to go straight into Blue Flame Hellions, and he does indeed have the Infernal Pre-Igniter now currently researching from that technology lab attached to the factory. And, you know, Blue Flame Hellions, a fairly good unit as well. They can run inside, they can kill off several drones, especially if they can get past this little initial wall off. But for Hawk, what he wants to do when dealing with any kind of Hellion harass, very similar to Vulture harass in Brood War, you just want to be able to wall off this kind of front with whatever structures you can. An Evo Chamber here, maybe an Evo Chamber here, fill off the gaps with the Queens as well. And I don't really know why I'm making so many Brood War references. I was watching a lot of Brood War games a couple of days ago. I was watching Jaedong versus Flash, gave me a starry tear to my eyes, and it just reminded me of the good old days of Brood War, and StarCraft 2 kind of living up to that legacy as well. So yeah, we will be seeing some Blue Flame Hellions coming out pretty soon. And Hawk, will he be able to deal with it? He has the Roach Horn coming up right now, as well as a Baneling Nest. These are the 2 primary structures that a Zerg really needs to deal with both the Hellions, really. Just Hellions. I don't know why I said both, but basically just Hellions. Roaches and Banelings combined can eradicate Hellions in a very quick fashion. And I don't think he scouted the factory. In fact, let's take a look at his vision. No, he didn't see the factories at all. So he's just getting that Roach Horn and the Baneling's Nest anyways. He's going to be pretty happy to know that that technology will be available once he sees these Blue Flame Hellions rolling out. And now the Hellions are on their way out. The Blue Flame upgrade has now just finished. A second tech lab on the way. So after these Hellions, we will be seeing a switch into the good old standard Biomech. And on a map like this, Biomech could not be any more powerful. I mean, look at this area right here. Siege tanks love it to death, especially when they can get a little bit of elevator assistance from the dropships up to the high ground. So look for Ver to possibly take advantage of the terrain in whatever way possible on Shakura's Plateau. He will get over to the 3rd here and force the cancel as well. Unfortunate that Hawk did not have the creep spread quite connecting over to that 3rd expansion yet. However, the Roach is looking to encapsule the Marines and Hellions up on this little ramp right here, and the Marines and Hellions are not going to be able to make it out of there. Very nice play by Vile Hawk, just getting up to there, and he will prevent any forces from retreating, and not a good trade at all from Ver. I mean, losing about 10 Marines and about 5 Hellions, only to deny a hatchery, and that hatchery will of course go up in the absence of the forces that have just gone down. And at this point, Ver has really no forces at all after losing that entire army at the front. That is going to cede map control over to the Zerg player, and a Zerg player with map control, it's like a happy cow in California, man. They love it. They're going to grab the map control over the map. We can see Hawk now grabbing a Zergling into each Zelnaga watchtower to get the full-on scout wherever possible, and just extending his range of vision across the map. This is actually really, really important on Shakuras to always be able to retain the watchtowers whenever possible, giving you just supreme vision and foresight and knowledge as to what the Terran is doing. We do have Ver with the Lone Marine in the background here. We'll call this guy George for now. He's Curious George, the little monkey that was always so curious. He's curiously now scouted the hatchery in the little corner here, and he is going to relay that information back to Home Command. And Ver, of course, now realizing that the Zerg is double expanding, and at the 12-minute mark, that's a fairly bold double expand as well. But you know, that's what the price you pay as a Terran player when you see that much map control in the beginning of the game. You allow the Zerg to expand at will. Now Hawk is coming in here with several Mutalisks as well, just to continue pushing home that idea that he does have map control. He will force the Terran into submission. He is actually going to possibly kill off the tech lab here at the barracks. That is going to hurt just a little bit. And it's not really that bad, actually. That tech lab going down doesn't really make a difference at all. In fact, if anything, it's going to help Ver, because he's probably going to replace that with a reactor core at the very least, because since he's already got tech lab, since he's not tech lab, but since he's already got the stim pack and the combat shields already upgraded. So we do have another push out here from Ver. After all that, map control being ceded over to the Zerg, he realizes that he doesn't want to continue to allow that to happen. He has to assert his dominance on a map like this, and he is going to push out, but he has to be careful not to push onto the creep. That creep giving that carpet highway for the Zerg units, giving them a huge amount of bonus movement speed, can be extremely deadly for Ver, and so he is going to siege just outside of the range of the creep, pop off a creep tumor as well, as you guys can see indicated by the blood there. That is a residue from that creep tumor. And with that going down, the creep will slowly start to recede. Now we're actually going down to the south end, below this little plateau here on Shakura's plateau. But, oh my goodness, the Bailey's getting in there, destroying all the Marines, all of them going down in green acid. However, a couple Marines in the background did manage to stay alive. Smart split by Ver. The Marines, the reinforcements from the north actually get picked off by the Bailey's, getting a little bit too close on the creep. I kind of like Ver's idea there. I think I see what he was trying to do. He was trying to get in this little crevice where his tanks and Marines would be surrounded by natural terrain and be protected, but that kind of ended up backfiring on him, and now Hawk is going to come in with a large flock of Mutalisks, and the Glaive Worm just deflecting all over these tanks. It's like watching a pinball game right here, just destroying everything, and the debris left behind showing that those tanks did not have a very good life at all. Their lifespan was short and limited. So Hawk, in firm control of this game, has denied 2 pushes in a row, has almost absolute map control, has had the 4th base up for quite some time, despite the lack of saturation. I guess that kind of counts a little bit against him, so 2 points away from him there. But I'm sure he'll get that saturation up and going once he gets a little bit more drones. He still has this large flock of Mutalisks though, and that's really the important factor to remember in a Zerg versus Terran. Any Zerg that can keep those fragile Mutalisks alive really has control of the game. They're able to continue applying pressure, they can pick off units at will, and it's just important to remember to always keep those Mutalisks alive. Do not engage and end up losing a huge flock, because at that point, that's when you really, as a Zerg player, are in a lot of trouble. It looks like we will have another move out here from Ver, setting up the siege tanks a little bit from that planetary fortress, so he's got like a little double platform of protection here that he can fall back to, and he's going to continue thrusting his way down to the south here, once again using this little nook and cranny positioning where the terrain gives him the most possible advantages in battle. He's got quite a few tanks. The Mutalisks here gearing up for a possible engagement, but there are not enough Baileys on the map. I feel like, where are the Baileys? There we go. A little green colony being morphed to the north, and it looks like Hawk is going to move in here. The Marines stemming their way back. There's a lot of tanks for these Baileys to punch through first, and it looks like they are going right around, but Ver, with a very good Marine spread, keeps most of his Marines alive. However, that Mutalisk flock is still way too big, and despite Hawk not able to break the entire Terran establishment, I feel like he comes away from that a victor, because he didn't lose that many Mutalisks. He still has that flock alive and kicking. His +2 flyer weapons are on the way right now. Those Mutalisks are about to do 11 damage, +5, +3. That's gonna be pretty insane. With these Marines, like I said before, it's a pinball machine. Those Glaive Worms do so much damage. However, the Marines not faring too badly in upgrades themselves at 2-2 with 3-3 now on the way. That's so fast. Only 18 minutes in the game, and hello, we may have a little bit of a base race situation here. Hawk coming around into the middle of the map with several Zerglings. He's going to be able to pick off those Marines instantaneously. And I like how he's camped himself here. He's actually going to be able to pick off all reinforcing units coming from the 3 Terran bases. And that's going to leave these tanks and Marines stranded alone. These guys have been left for dead. And it looks like Hawk is just going to come in here and wipe the floor of all these Marines and tanks regardless. And all of them going down almost instantly once again. Hawk denying the 3rd Terran push in a row. He is looking prime this game. However, more Marines are now finally getting a little bit of paratrooper action. They have dropped off and picked off the infestation pit, a crucial Zerg structure to pick off. That is actually going to delay the hive tech for quite some time, as well as infestors, which are actually really important in late game ZVT. So that drop actually buys the Terran player Ver a lot of time. It gives him a little bit of breathing room. He knows infestors won't be out for a while. He knows hive tech will not be out for a while. And that's really, really important. And anytime in a Zerg versus Terran, You have to be so good at dropping off and picking off key structures. It's not really all about picking drones all the time. It's about picking off the baneling nest, the spawning pool. Those key structures give you windows of opportunity to attack when you know there's not going to be those forces that come out of those structures, that spawn out of those structures available. Now, we do have a big attack here. Marines getting fungled immediately. It looks like there were infestors already on the map before the infestation pit went down. So, you know, Ver picking off that infestation pit, he might have thought, hey, I'm good, I can move out a little bit, but no, that wasn't the case. There's a little bit of a psychological maneuver there because there were infestors out on the map already, and once again, another Marine drop force picked off to the south, almost managing to dispatch of this hatchery. Look at that, it is bleeding from almost every angle and joint and orifice, but it is remaining alive at about 432 HP, but that hatchery is vulnerable to another dropship. You guys can see that Hawk's Overlord placement doesn't quite cover the southernmost latitude line, so that does mean that, or longitude line, so that means that he will not be able to see any units coming in from the south end, but we do have another possible big engagement here. Yeah, the Mutalisks are going to be able to pick off all the tanks on the north, and that is all that Hawk wants to do. Every time you engage the Terran as Zerg, as long as you pick off all those tanks, then you can walk away a victor. You do not need to continue battling, because no Terran in their right mind, unless they're just absolutely insane, will continue pushing forward without tank support. And if they do, then they need to be thrown into an asylum with the key locked away, because that's just you know, unless it's certain key situations when the Zerg, you know, absolutely doesn't have anything but just pure Mutalisks. But how often is that going to be the case? You know, he's always going to have Lings and Banelings, and you need tanks to handle that. So as it stands right now, Ver may just be insane. Look at this, he's got 3 Ghost Academies coming down here. He's going to be going for some nuclear warfare, and wow, once again, guys, we are going to have some nuclear action on this map on Shakura's Plateau, with the Mutalisks here pounding away at that missile turret. We're able to pick it off, but it is an eye for an eye situation because Ver also cancels a hatchery as well. All the SCVs fleeing from the crime scene are going to be able to get away. The Mutalisks will be content to just pick off that planetary fortress, which is immobile. But, you know, a little bit of an eye for an eye trade right there. I feel like the Terran may come out a little bit behind in that regard, though, because, you know, he's only got 3 bases. The Zerg is going to be on, well, actually, another hatchery went down here as well. So I guess I missed that drop or something, guys. So I do apologize. The hatchery that was hemorrhaging from every orifice finally hemorrhaged itself to death. So that sucks for Hawk, who's now only on 4 bases compared to the Terran 3. So it's actually a much closer game than you guys might imagine right now. Remember, guys, there are nuclear missiles ready in the arsenal and awaiting. There's 1 nuclear silo. Why am I calling it a silo? Too much Brutal we're watching these days, guys. A blast from the past. But yeah, there's a nuclear missile ready in one of these Ghost Academies with a follow-up secondary nuke as well. It looks like Ver is going to push out here. Does he have ghosts on the map yet? He has 3 in production. I don't know if he has any on the field. No, he doesn't. So he doesn't have any ghosts. We have a little bit of a infested Terran move out here. The guinea pigs have been spawned forward, and anytime a Zerg player does this, it's actually really smart because the infested Terrans go to the front, they absorb all the tank fire in the front, and then they allow the little weaker Lings and Banelings to get in without taking those initial tank shots. So the infested Terrans, you know, a sad life for them. First they were a Terran, then they got infested by the Zerg, then they were used as cannon fodder against their own tanks. Wow, what a menial existence that is. But the Ghost, not a menial existence at all. It's one of the most high-tech units in the game, has now come out of the barracks with tech labs, and there is one on the way. It's completely cloaked, covert operative right here. Oh no, Vilehawk, does he see it? He has to see it. No, he doesn't. It's just a slight little blur, and it has 26 energy. That will allow it to get 1 nuclear launch off and still be cloaked, I believe, and a nuclear missile has been launched. Does Hawk realize where the nuclear missile is? Yes, he does. He has pulled drones away from that nuclear, from that hatchery, but the nuclear missile will fall regardless. All these larvae are going to go down. And in the meantime, Mutalisks actually coming in from this expansion as well, to hit this expansion as well. But all those SCVs mass repairing along with the Marines drive the Mutalisks away. And we have another nuclear missile being launched. Does Hawk realize it? Yes, he does. And oh no, all these larvae are gonna go down. That is a huge blast to his resources. Larva for the Zerg players, actually just another type of resource that they have to manage. And you know, these nuclear missiles, they're not cheap. They come at 100 minerals, 100 gas. The R&D for that, you know, uranium and all that stuff, it's expensive, but It also does a lot of damage, even if it doesn't kill drones. Look at what it's done here. It's denied mining from minerals and gas for this long of a time. It's killed off all larvae at the hatchery. And thirdly, it also kills off any eggs that are currently in the morphing stage, in that transitionary stage from the egg into their whatever preordained unit they wish to become. So the nuclear missile, and the fourth and final thing it actually does is it just causes hysteria in the Zerg player's bases. I mean, he just doesn't know where the nukes are coming. Look, we have another nuke that just landed right there. You know, it just causes hysteria because the Zerg has to waste APM to search for the little red dot. So those nuclear missiles, they play psychological effects as well as physical effects. And we have yet another nuclear missile going down. In fact, it's a double nuke here. Hawk all over it, though. Will pull drones away, so he's minimizing that damage. But actually, the hatchery here's oh no, these corruptors could go out with a bang, and oh, those corruptors are done for. The other nuke landing here as well, not able to kill off any drones. Meanwhile, Broodlords pressing themselves forward in the map, but encountering some sniper shots from the ghosts that are sitting down below. And sniper fire actually destroys ghosts very efficiently. The ghost is such a versatile unit for so many reasons. It is so good against the Zerg. All its spells really quite useful. And look for the EMP shockwave here. All these infestors are just ready and clumped up. Looks like they were launching some infested Terrans to once again absorb the tank fire in the front. Now the little softies can come in from behind the infested Terrans, but the EMP shockwave is getting launched off. A Neural Parasite Tentacle attaching itself to this tank as well. And all these Marines eating some fungal vomit to the face. A lot of them in the deep red, but they will remain alive, and I don't know where these corruptors are going. That is not the scenic route you want to take, and especially not across a nuclear missile just getting fired up into the atmosphere. And I don't know where that nuke is coming, and oh no, once again we're gonna have two more corruptors canceled, and that is going to nearly destroy the hatchery at 60 hit points. These nukes are truly doing a lot of damage to Hawk right now, and Hawk, seemingly ahead in this game, is now starting to fall apart due to nuclear missiles. That being said, though, he is certainly not out of this game. This game can be won by anybody. Look, there's Broodlords on the map right now, and of course Broodlord is so devastating against the Terrans. So it really can swing either way, and it does look like Ver is going to be pushing out. Once again, he is going to be using that little southern route here to fortify his forces wherever possible. Ghost also getting a little bit shelled by those Broodlords. Thankfully, those tanks were not sieged up. Otherwise, those ghosts might have been killed by friendly fire as the tanks would have targeted the Broodlings. But the Marine's gonna go ahead and launch a preemptive stim here. Careful though, because Hawk, the very intelligent Zerg player here, realizing that, hey, I just need to hang back with my infestors, and when those Marines come in, I can launch my fungal growth to dispatch those Marines in a very calm and efficient manner. Now we do have some sniper shots going off from the ghost down below, and this game is just getting out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. Fungal growth being used to reveal the ghosts. Those ghosts are taken apart by the Broodlords. And we have the little Broodlings here just kind of chasing away these Marines, doing a little bit of good damage here, just forcing Ver back. And what a battle, ladies and gentlemen. Hawk still fighting for his own. It looks like the nuclear proliferation has finally ceased, at least for a little bit. Hatchery here at 95 HP, so that's very, very close to dying. But it will remain alive as for now. However, what is Hawk going to do? Because it almost seems like at this point, Ver is the one who's applying aggression. Ver is the one who's all over the map. And Hawk really cannot respond in kind. This is a difficult map for Zerg really to find avenues to attack. I mean, there is this expansion here, but it's covered by a planetary. There's no doubt going to be another planetary erected at some point over here and over here. So it's very difficult for the Zerg to deal with. We have another nuclear missile getting launched. And oh, there it goes. And oh my God, just destroying all those larvae, and once they are killing the hatchery as well. Devastating blows to Hawk's economy here. So Ver, after a slight lull in the nuclear missiles, has finally decided to start that stuff up again. Certainly, Hawk can't be happy about that. I'm sure he's trying to negotiate some kind of a ceasefire for at least a little while. But the nuclear missiles are continuing to rain chaos down from the heavens, and I don't know what Hawk can do. He has some Broodlords. He's gonna push forward just a little bit. But it's so difficult when he's got to deal with these ghosts. These ghosts, they're just going to run forward and snipe. Down goes those ghosts. I mean, look, they're just falling apart. Now the EMP shockwave's also dealing with the infestors in really good fashion as well. And every single battle, every little micro miniature battle that we have here seemingly going the way of Ver. Ver continuing to push forward here with his army. He is going to establish himself once again in this little southern position, and this hatchery could possibly go down. This is a very crucial hatchery for Hawk to keep alive. He cannot allow it to fall. It is now in the deep red. It will fall down to the tanks and Marines. Disastrous blow to Hawk once again. Not a good situation at all. The Broodlords may actually be able to push back the Marines with their little minions here and a little fungal growth to take out those Marines as well. Obviously not happy with the result of losing his hatchery. They're trying to exact a little bit of vengeance on those Marines who you know, killed off that hatch. And he was able to do a little bit of damage here or there, but oh no, the ghosts are getting close. Heil cannot allow himself to stay here, and oh no, so many Broodlords are gonna go down. About 1 or 2 getting popped off by sniper fire and EMP shockwave galore. Oh, it's an electrical storm of EMPs right here, and those infestors have no chance whatsoever. One infestor to the north getting a massive fungal growth though. And a battle of epic Zerg versus Terran proportions is being unfolded here on Shakura's Plateau. One player here vying for victory, vying for momentum in the GameCom Plantronics tournament, and that first game everybody knows is oh so important. It sets the tone for the rest of the series, and being that this is a macro game, Ver is showing that he can play and outplay Hawk in a macro-based game. He has been using even the nuclear missile to great effect, and this is no doubt damaging Hawk's psyche. And I still hesitate to say this game is all but done because Hawk is still putting up an excellent fight. The ghosts, though, are just, they're just picking apart, part by part, organ by organ, destroying those Broodlords. And Hawk coming in here with his infestors and his links. Once again, we have another nuclear missile launched, actually aimed at the spine crawlers and spores, which were placed here to prevent ghosts from running into those hatcheries on the bottom left-hand corner of the map. But those have now been destroyed, so the ghosts can run in there and launch more nuclear missiles off. Now this another hatchery is gonna go down. No, a fountain spurt of blood from that hatchery. And Ver is sitting in a very sweet spot right now. I don't know what he can do, guys. He has re-erected this hatchery down to the south, but it's a bleak situation right now. His income at 67 harvesters, under 84. He doesn't quite have the squad of units he needs, in my opinion, to deal with this army. Those ghosts have just become way too effective, and you know, I would argue that he needs to mix some banelings in this. He needs to get some banelings in this little composition of his. I mean, he's got baneling speed. He was using banelings in the first 20 minutes of this game, and then he just kind of stopped. But you know, banelings are surprisingly effective against you know, all these Marines along with fungal growth, and banelings can take out ghosts as well. And they are not affected by, you know, the ghosts' little sniper fire. Well, they are affected by sniper fire, but they don't. The sniper shot isn't nearly as effective against banelings since there's just so many of them. So, you know, banelings I think would be a great unit right now. But we don't see it coming out. Hawk here going to have to save this hatchery if he wants to win this game. Mutalisks going a little bit ahead of themselves. It is not a good day for those guys. And the Marines have found a way into the mineral line as well. Looks like the Lings are running in here. And oh, Hawk getting really up and close and personal with those Lings, but was not able to reach those fragile Marines in the background. However, Hawk's Broodlords will be able to push those tanks back. And actually, Hawk, not doing too bad for himself, has pushed the Terran all the way back, and oh my goodness, almost picking off every single tank as well. Now that is exactly what the Zerg player needs to do if he wants to win this game. He needs to keep that tank count down. He needs to destroy every last witch tank. It looks like we have 2 little colonies of SCVs going to the new expansions to mine it out. So 6 Jack's Ver right now, excuse me, Jack 6 Ver is at no shortage of minerals or at gas. We do have some more ghost sniper fire going off on those Broodlords. Once again, just ripping every little organ from that Broodlord as it splatters to the floors below. Just devastating, and now we even have the spine crawlers and spore crawlers just slowly agonizingly dying from the lack of nutrition of no creep. And Hawk now running in with the infestors down to the south, gets a fungal growth on those Marines. He will be able to save his hatchery once again. I don't know how Hawk is staying in this game, guys. No, definitely not anything short of a miracle here. He gets a couple more fungal growths off on those Marines, but just barely enough Marines survive the fungal contamination, the disease spreading throughout the entire Terran army, but enough Marines stay alive to pick off that hatchery. And what a play by Ver. Oh my god, he is just staying on all cylinders in this game. He's running on V12 right now. He's just got everything going for him, and I don't know, once again, I don't know what Hawk can do. He's seemingly fallen behind after losing this hatchery here. His harvester is now at a paltry 40 compared to Ver's 90, and it does look like Hawk going to once again try to end up saving this hatchery as well. But you know, every battle is getting less and less cost effective for the Zerg. Look, we have a lone Viking out here whose sole mission is to pick off Broodlords as well. Hawk with no quite response yet to that Viking, finally launching a couple of infested Terrans up there, but he will need to fungal to lock that down as well. No, he doesn't need to. So the 3 infested Terrans, wow, do they have 3 weapons? No, they don't. So with 3 armor, they are able to take it down even with base damage. But Hawk, he has 3 Marines. Those Ghosts, of course, sharing upgrades with their Marine cousins as well. We don't even see really that many tanks coming out anymore. There we go, some tanks coming out of the Wetwork is to reinforce the Bio army. And Ver is operating off of 1, 2, 3, 4 totally mining bases, whereas Hawk is operating only off of 1, guys. That is it. And I don't know how many games you guys have seen where a Terran loses being on 4 bases against a Zerg who's on 1. I can promise you guys that is a certain rarity. And Ver here is definitely not going to break that status quo. He's going to push in here with his Marines, popping off the Spine Crawlers, the last vestiges of defense, as Hawk runs in here with all of his speedlings. One last attempt at a hero save here. It looks like he may have enough lings yet again to save his hatchery. Where is he pulling these defenses out of? But no, that's got to be it. The hatchery will fall. A fungal growth going down, sniper fire pushing those infestors back. As soon as the infestors even hear the pew pew pew, they just run away the other direction. It's like instant. It's like an instinct of fear that's built into the evolution of the infestors. But yeah, I still have to salute Hawk for just staying in this game, man. I don't know where he's pulling these defenses out of. Certainly from the deep crevices of his of an organ from his body. He's pulling it out, but he's making it happen. But that is the last mineable hatchery going down there, and with that, Hawk's chances of winning this game continue to diminish, falling into a very dark abyss at that. It looks like a couple of tanks are going to be picked off by Broodlings. But, you know, these small victories are just not good in the long-term grand scheme of things. With Ver now pushing forward with Ghosts, everything being so cavalier right now. He knows he's got enough Marines to end it, and Hawk knows that as well. Typing out the GG, leaves the game a well-mannered GG and a great start to this series. What an epic game with nuclear missiles being used as well. I've seen now 3 Zerg versus Terrans on this map in a row with nuclear missiles. Man, they're making a comeback in popular competitive play, so that's kind of interesting to see. But anyways, I salute you guys for watching this game and of course for being fans of esports around the world. And I also want to give a big thanks to GameCom Plantronics for making this tournament happen. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the next game at hand. It's going to be Vile Hawk versus Check 6 Ver, Game 2 at the GameCom Plantronics Grand Finals, coming right up.